Okay, let's start rolling this one. So 36 shot challenge. I know that's not the name of the video, 36 shots for reflection, self-reflection, and wildlife photography, but we're going to do 36 shot challenge. So here's the premise, a little sip here. Okay, so most of us are shooting thousands and thousands of frames per day on any given day that you go out and shoot wildlife. Okay, so based on that, what do you actually remember about those shots? I mean, sure, you remember the excellent shot of the northern harrier or, the bald eagle in the nest. So, of course, there's going to be some things that stick out to you. But today I want to talk about what happens when you condense this process and funnel it down to something old school. And my only solution to it is what I've been thinking about for a while, and this is about me. But I want to bring this to everyone that watches the channel, people that I know. I want to try to make this a little different. So I took some notes today, so I'm going to look up a little bit at the monitor here. So 36 frames. It is 36 photographs on a roll of film. So some of you guys not really familiar with rolls of film. This is it, 36 shots. Okay, so it's a hard limit. When you were done this, that's it, 36. You might eke out one more or one less, depending on, but you'd wrap this up, you'd bring it to your photo mat. When I was a kid, it was a photo mat, and you got them developed. So the hard limit changes how you approach a subject, or even a day of photography. So it forces you to have intention, not just reaction. And reaction, I mean by just spraying away at 30 frames a second, or 15 or 20 or 60, whatever camera you're using. So it removes the safety net. People we just go out and shoot and react and change this and up the ISO, lower the ISO. There's a million things you can do to try to make your photos better. And now with mirrorless cameras, you get what you see in the EVF, and it's just different. So unlimited frames don't make you a better photographer. It limits you. The limits that you place on yourself, there is none. But this limit, what I'm talking about, will place some true hard results that you're going to get. Okay, 36 frames, not a lot. And if you got to make one count, and then if you mess up and you make the second one count, or maybe even the third, or if you stay on one subject for 20 shots, then you got to decide if that was, if you were shooting film, would the 20 shots be worth your money on the one bird or the one fox or whatever it may be. So you had to play the game. If it cost you a total of $28 for the film and the developing, and then maybe secondary prints, do you want to shoot a whole roll on one animal, or do you want to wait a little while and try to find some more wildlife if that you only had one roll? All right. So the problem with it is that you're not chasing moments when you're out with your camera and you have a half a terabyte card in there. All you're doing is just managing the data. Seriously. I mean, you come back with 5,000 shots and it's just like a data dump, let alone your computer, your brain, your editing. Everything's the same. If a bird's flying by, the wing flaps are the same. One's in focus, one's really good. Maybe you get a look over. Yeah, you can achieve something from it though. But so here's the challenge. These are the core rules. Okay, these are the core rules. I'm going to put them up on the screen. 36 frames total. Doesn't have to be all in one session. Doesn't have to be all in one location. And that means just single shot, people. Single shot. No high-speed motor. No 3 frames a second. I just want to go single shot. As fast as you can press the shutter. That's just like an old school film camera. Single shot, wind, single shot. If you're really good at winding, you could do it. If you had a winder, sure. I think it should be JPEG only. Okay. You don't need to edit. So pop a film simulation in and or a neutral profile. But like, you know, hey, there's some great film sims on my Fujifilm stuff that I would love to see, and it's going to give me pretty much like a roll of film, an Eterna, a Provia, Kodachrome, whatever you want to have your image look like, because back in the day, that's what you would have had. You would have had a Fujifilm or a Kodak Velvia. You would have had a profile that your film gives you, not something that your camera alters. So pick a profile, shoot in JPEG, no cropping, and then journal every frame. That's it. Journal every frame. So, you know, I love journals. So here's one here that I started just for an example. Hopefully I grab focus on that. That's my journal. And that's what I did just to start this whole thing off. I went out and did 2 frames of a hawk, and this is it. This is that's all I found that day. So it wasn't one session, 36 shots. Sometimes you're going to go out and you're going to get 3 shots, and that's okay, because that's what you would have done in the film days. And you don't need to take 100 shots of a bird that really wasn't the shot. So I recommend in this section, because I know people are like, oh, I can't leave my camera locked on one setting. Set a preset. Okay. I mean, I understand that if you're out and you're down with shorty or owls and whatnot, you're going to want to go and you're going to want to take 3,000 shots if the opportunity presents itself, and a bald eagle or this or that. And you don't want to blow this whole challenge on one eagle. And maybe you do. Maybe you do. But the key to the challenge is, so I have a preset like C6 on my camera that has this exact settings. Everything's locked in. I can't change anything. It's on single shutter auctionation or whatever you call it, and my film sim's in, shoots on JPEG, it's full frame, and that's what I use for my 36 shot challenge. Now I want you to be able to switch out of that and go back to your manual shooting or whatever you normally shoot, because you might need it. But the real challenge here is live with it straight out of camera. No editing. Don't crop it. Like, you couldn't do that with film. You'd have to, it's an enormous amount of work. You get your negatives back, you review your photograph, you want to crop it, you got to go send your negative back out, have it cropped, have it reprinted. It can happen, and that's what we did. But this is what this is all about. This is a reflection. This is how good am I at shooting in camera? And can I live with the photograph? Because this is what it used to be. So the journal is the key. So in my little Luke's notebook, I have a brand new one set up for these videos here. So this is just one test that I went out and did. So what I would do is, you know, I have the roll date, the start date, you know, of the roll, and the end date of the roll. So you kind of know what camera you used, the list of lenses, your film simulation, JPEG. If you want to shoot raw, but whatever. And then notes, like just a little brief area for notes, so you have a little bit of room. I have an example I put on the screen too. This is actually my journal. So number 1, I have my 1/1000th of a second. My ISO is 640. Now I'm going to come back to this ISO thing. My white balance is Kelvin 6000. That's what I set it at manually. I'm at f5.6. My exposure comp is +1. There's a hawk on a limb, 16 degrees, cold, skies overcast. I was using my 500 millimeter, waited for the hawk to turn, and got 1 shot. Now, there you go. That's my shot. Now, you can expand on that. You can write a little bit more. You can say that the hawk was eating a squirrel. You could say that it was waiting to hunt. You can do whatever you want. That's what this reflection page is for. And so back in the film days, your shot would tell you all the details. It was overcast. It was in a tree canopy. I didn't feel like it was going to be right. I light metered the situation with a light meter. You would write all that information down, and then when you got your photo back from the lab, you could go back to your notes on frame 1 and say, whoa, yeah, it really was dark. So next time, I need to overexpose this with the exposure compensation, or I need to shoot it at 1/800th of a second or 1/6. You know what I mean? Like, you would have to kind of make those judgment calls, and that would make you a better photographer, because the more you knew the situation and the lighting and the scene, you would have more of a record of what you did in that situation. Okay? And it holds true anywhere. If you were shooting sports, when you went to an arena, or you went to a stadium, or you were indoors here, or you were outdoors in the rain, your notes would provide you with the information, and you would try different things. So my second shot, I tried something different. I underexposed it 1, I went to 1/1400th of a second, and then I put my white balance down a little bit, and I shot at 7.1 because I wanted to see if I could get a little more. So I tried something different. So now when I see that shot, and I'm not looking back at my camera as I'm doing these either. That's something I personally do. I'm sure you can if you want, but that doesn't help this process. So if your rear screen closes, close that bad boy. Don't even look at it, and resist the urge to look at it on your EVF. I know it's hard, but so that's how you would do it. And then 36 shots, you have a reflection of all these pages of your information, and then you bring it back to Lightroom. I don't even know if I go to Lightroom. Just take Lightroom out of it. If you have another way to process the photos and bring them into a Word document, whoop, and then you can look at them right there, and then you see what you get. I'm debating on whether I want to put the 36 shots in here. Maybe I'll make a little mini grid, looks like a film strip, at the end of the roll, and I'll put it in here. I think that's maybe what I'm going to do. But there's a lot we can do with this. We can play around with it. So why you took the shot, how are you feeling? The journal is as important as the photographs. I mean, the journal is going to tell the story of those photographs. It's going to keep you grounded on what you did that day instead of just ripping off 3,000 shots, you know. And so the ISO thing, this is why I told you I was going to get back to. This is where the rubber meets the road. This is where the challenge splits and it really gets honest. If you're locking your settings the true way, and that's how I'm doing it, I'm locking my ISO at 640. That's just me. Because when you had a roll of film and it was 800 or 400 or 200 or 100, you could push your film and you could pull your film, yes, but you couldn't do it mid-roll. So you were locked in. If you were pushing your 400 to 800, you had to shoot the entire roll at 800. You'd go and tell the developer that it was pushed to 800. He would develop the whole roll like that. There's no way to split that when you develop. So you were locked in. Your ISO, your ISO, whatever you want to call it, was locked in. So I'm locking mine in. You don't have to, but write it down. Write it down. I mean, you can make alterations. That makes you a better photographer. If you don't just roll your ISO to 2000 or whatever, then that's the easy way out. But there's other ways to get around it. Or guess what? Don't take the shot. Because that's what would happen back in the day with film. If the shot didn't present itself and the situation wasn't right, you just didn't get a shot. Or you took the shot and it was dark. Or you took the shot and it was super grainy. Or you took the shot and it was completely, there was no image. So that's what happened back in the film days, and that's okay. That's okay. That's like, I missed the shot. Or you look back and be like, yeah, you know, and I knew it wasn't going to work out, but I missed the shot. Now, here's the thing. With a EVF, and you're not shooting DSLR, you're going to kind of know. Now, I can go to there's a setting on my GFX where I can have no exposure, no white balance simulation in my EVF. And I think I'm going to switch to that because that really makes it even more pure. And if your camera will allow you, in the Canon and Nikon or Olympus or whatever you're using, Sony, if you can go without the preview, so when you're not actually looking at the alterations on the sensor, do it. I don't know if you can. I don't know if your camera, I don't know if you're capable of finding that or if it is even a thing. But like, it's almost like shooting through a true rangefinder or through a DSLR. So I'm going to fiddle with that too and try it. But that's just like that's the film thing. You know, the film didn't adapt to the light. You adapted to the light. And that's what I want you to happen here. And you're going to see it on an EVF. So you're going to know, and that's fine. But it's still going to make you work a little harder. It's going to make you work a little harder instead of the easy switch to the ISO or ISO, you know, whatever. So, all right. So that matters to me because it's going to force you into composition. It's going to make you get around the sun. It's going to make you, you know, it slows your trigger finger down a little bit when you gotta compensate for the light, and you got to compensate for everything to make that photo perfect. It teaches anticipation. You don't want to just rip it off and then you're adjusted on the fly. And so, you know, it turns it back into a decision-making process instead of a damage control situation when you get back and you're editing and you can fix all these problems. So this challenge is going to teach you how to understand light better, how much you rely on fixing things when you get to Lightroom, and how patient you really are waiting to get that shot. You know, getting closer, creeping up, trying to get in a better position, wait for the bird to come to you or the fox to come in closer. You know, you're shooting moments, not just the result. You're not looking for the results, you're just waiting for the moment, I should say. So, you know, sharp, Sharpness in a photograph, yes, it's important, but it doesn't mean that that photo is any more meaningful than a soft image that was just the perfect image, the perfect light, the perfect background. Everything just worked out, and you have a story. So it's not every time you go out gets great images, and that's something important. It's like, it's normal. It's how it used to be. You didn't leave the house and you always come home with 2,000 photographs. First off, you came home with 36 or maybe 24, 24, depending on what you had or your budget was. You that's all you had to work with. I mean, some people buy a roll of film, develop a roll of film, buy another roll of film. And some of the old photo mats back then, when you brought a roll of film in to get developed, they would give you a free roll. And it would keep you coming back. So people would do that. They would come in, get a free roll, go shoot it, come back, pick up their other roll. And it was like it was a great thing back in the day. Kept customers coming back, and it was just a different time. And I don't expect everyone to relate to that, but some of my favorite days out in the field were ones I didn't get any photographs. Sometimes I was driving around or I was walking through the woods and I've seen some great stuff. And there was stuff I couldn't even photograph, and I don't. A lot of times if I'm in the canopy and it's dark and there's two great horns up in the top and I have a weird angle and I'm shooting up at them, and I don't even take the camera out. It's not worth it. It's not something I'm going to post. It's not something I'm going to print. I'd rather just sit and watch them for 5 or 10 minutes and just be a part of the scenery and be a part of nature. So let's just cap this over. 36 shots. Get your journal. Build a new one. Luke's Gym journals are great. I have posted on there a couple different ideas, and share them with me. I'd love to see some 36 shots. I mean, I think I'm going to do some shorts on this. I'll do a follow-up video once I fill this journal up with the 36. Maybe I'll do it twice. I'm sure I can accomplish that if I go to spots where there's tons of birds. But the waiting game is going to change my philosophy. This is something I'm excited to try with you all. And I'd love to hear your feedback. I'd love to see some photos, some uploads, and then I can put them on another video. And we can, I would love to do that. I would like to have someone send me all 36 and their journal pictures or their photos of their journal pages, so we can all kind of share this in some future videos. I think this is something we could really go with, people. So thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel. I would love that, to see some future updates on this and other videos that I'm doing. And I have another one coming up, 36 shots, 36 frames for the everyday person. So this one's even going to be fun. This is one in your neighborhood, no travel. So look forward to that video coming up shortly. So 168 Wildlife, all social media. Thanks again for tuning in.